Before I start, quick warning. This is the story of how I almost convinced myself I was just a paranoid girlfriend, while my boyfriend was, at the very least, emotionally cheating on me with my own older sister. If you have ever had someone make you doubt your instincts, stay with me to the end. And if you like long, messy, first-person story times about relationships, family drama, and betrayal, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, and share the story so I can keep bringing more like it. I am a 20-year-old woman, and until recently, I was dating a 29-year-old guy. I am going to call R. We had been together for about a year and a half. Up until a few months ago, I trusted him completely. Honestly, I trusted him blindly. I never saw him as the bad guy. He was older, more established, very attentive, very protective. I knew there was a pretty big age gap between us, but I told myself it was not that serious. A lot of people side-eyed it, but I thought it just meant he was more mature and stable, and I was just starting my adult life. In my head, that was a good combination. Everything started to crack when one of his exes walked straight into my life through Instagram. I am going to call her A. One night, I was scrolling and saw a message request from a girl I did not recognize right away. When I opened it, the first thing I read was basically the dreaded "Hey girl." I think every woman knows that is rarely a good sign. I actually did know who A was. R and his mom had mentioned her before. From their version, she was the serious college girlfriend. According to him, they had broken up because they wanted different things. She wanted to settle down. He wasn't ready. It sounded sad but reasonable. I believed him. A's version of the story could not have been more different. In her messages, she told me they had dated for about 4 years. They had talked about marriage, their future, the whole thing. Then, after all that time, she found out he had been cheating on her pretty much the entire relationship. Not a one-time mistake. A pattern. No real remorse. Reading that, my stomach just dropped. I wanted to tell myself she was being dramatic or bitter. But then she sent screenshots, conversations, dates. And the worst part was that those dates lined up almost perfectly with when he and I first started talking. From what she showed me, R was talking to both of us at the same time. He was flirting with me, calling me special, while still keeping her on the hook and entertaining the idea of getting back together. That went on right up until the day he asked me to be his girlfriend. Technically, at that moment he and I were not official yet. I know some people would say that means he did not cheat on me. But it really did not feel good to realize I had been treating him as the only person I was interested in, while he was basically running auditions. A also told me that sometime after they broke up, they had tried to reconnect. She wanted to believe he had grown up, that he would not cheat again. They started talking about meeting, maybe giving the relationship another shot. Then, out of nowhere, he ghosted her. Just disappeared. Later, she found my profile through his and realized that around the time he went silent, he started posting pictures with me. She put the pieces together and figured out I was the reason he vanished. Even though that hurt her, she reached out because she did not want me to be clueless the way she had been. I thanked her for telling me, even though seeing those receipts made me feel sick. After I closed Instagram, I sat there a minute, then opened my chat with R. I knew I could not pretend I had not seen any of it. I confronted him almost immediately. I told him A had messaged me, what she had said, and before he could deny anything, I sent the screenshots and pointed out the dates. He went quiet for a second, then admitted that, yes, he had been talking to me, to A, and to another girl all at the same time. His reasoning? He said he was single back then and had the right to talk to multiple people while he figured out who he actually wanted to be with. He said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. I reminded him that I had told him early on that I was not talking to anyone else. That if he was not looking for something serious, he needed to be honest, so I did not waste my time. I told him that the worst part was that he had left out pretty much everything about cheating on A when he told me their breakup story. He got defensive. He said I was blowing things out of proportion, making this into something it was not, acting like he was some serial cheater. The funny thing is that nobody had used that word yet. He brought it up on his own. I wanted to put it all in the before me box and move on. I kept telling myself people make mistakes and change. I told myself he chose me in the end. But a little crack had opened in the trust, and through that crack, I started to notice things I would have ignored before. I began to question details, second-guess feelings, replay conversations in my head. Even with all that, I still loved him. I still wanted us to work. I felt stupid about it, but that is the truth. Right around this time, my older sister got dropped into the middle of the story. My sister, who I will call Jay, is 25. About 3 months earlier, she had gone through a really nasty breakup of her own and ended up moving back in with our parents to get back on her feet. She did not have much money, so instead of hiring movers, my 23-year-old brother offered his truck, and the whole family agreed to help. I thought we could use an extra pair of hands, so I invited R to help with the move. Up until that day, he had never met Jay. I honestly had no idea how much I would regret that decision. The day of the move, everything was chaotic in a normal way. Boxes, furniture, my mom bossing everyone around, my brother complaining about heavy stuff. I introduced R and Jay, and almost immediately they clicked. They started talking and joking like they had known each other for years. They had things in common, similar taste in music and shows, and they were closer in age than R and I were. At first, I told myself this was good. Your boyfriend getting along with your family is supposed to be a green flag. I smiled. I joined the conversation. I tried to ignore the little knot in my stomach every time they laughed at something I was not part of. By the end of the day, though, the feeling was hard to ignore. When we were finally leaving, I caught the way he looked at her. It was not a neutral look. And the way she said goodbye, the tone in her voice, sounded like there was more behind the words. I felt jealous and ridiculous all at once. I told myself I was projecting my insecurity about the age difference, that I was reading too much into it. I did not want to be the crazy, clingy girlfriend in my own head, so I swallowed it and moved on. It did not even take a full week for things to get weirder. We were on a date one night, just the two of us, and out of nowhere he made a comment about how mature my sister was. If you actually know Jay, you know that maturity is not exactly her strongest quality. She can be fun, sure, but she is impulsive, self-centered, and rude sometimes. My whole life, I have been very aware of the age gap between me and R, to the point where I had literally said to him, I wish I were more mature, when we talked about our age difference. So when he dropped that line about my sister being mature, it did not sound like a compliment about her. It sounded like a dig at me, like he was saying, you are too immature, but your sister is on my level. My mood tanked instantly. I did not understand why she was even on his mind in the middle of our date. Why compare us out loud when he knew exactly how insecure I was about our ages? I started shutting down in the middle of the night. I just wanted to go home, go to bed, and not think about any of it. I tried to end the date early, but as soon as he realized it, he got mad. He followed me around his apartment, raising his voice, telling me I was being insecure, that I did not trust him, that I was creating drama out of nothing. At some point, with my eyes full of tears, I told him the truth that I had not fully trusted him for a while now. He shot back, asking what the point of us being together was if I did not trust him. I answered that if he wanted to stay in this relationship, he needed to put in the work to rebuild that trust. He said I was blaming him for things he could not change, that he could not undo whatever happened before, that I was stuck in the past. We went back and forth like that until I was just exhausted. It was late, and his place is closer to my parents' house than mine is, so I grabbed my stuff and left. I drove to my parents' place and crashed there. My mom immediately noticed something was wrong. She asked what happened, and I ended up dumping almost everything on her. I told her about the cheating, about the DMs, about the fight we just had. The only thing I left out was how uncomfortable I felt about R and J. I knew my sister was home and most likely listening, and I was too embarrassed to admit that I was jealous of my own sister. By the time I finished ranting, I was crying hard. My mom listened, but her response was that I was being paranoid, that I was judging R based on his past, that he had not actually cheated on me. She said I was overreacting and letting old information poison something good. A little later, Jay came downstairs. She asked if I was okay. What was going on? She acted concerned, which is not really her usual vibe. She hugged me, told me maybe I was overthinking because of stress, that I should not throw away a relationship over old mistakes. I wanted so badly to feel like someone was on my side that I let myself believe that maybe, for once, my big sister actually cared about me and how I felt. After that night, things seemed to calm down for a while. I went back to RS place, we talked. He apologized for yelling, said he hated seeing me walk out. He told me he loved me, that he was scared of losing me. He even brought up the idea of me moving in with him. That caught me off guard. Part of me took it as proof that he was serious about us, that he wanted a real future with me. Another part of me felt like it was a little too fast, a little too convenient, especially coming right after such a big fight about trust. I did not give him an answer right away, but I would be lying if I said I did not seriously consider saying yes. I was tired of questioning everything, tired of being told by my own mom that I was paranoid. I started to wonder if maybe I really was the problem. Then came the night that blew everything up. It was about a month and a half after Jay had moved back in with my parents. One night I woke up and realized I was not in bed. I assumed he was in the bathroom or getting water, but minutes passed and he did not come back. I got up and walked out to the living room. He was sitting there in the dark, phone to his ear, whispering. It was not casual talking. His tone was low and intimate, like he was trying hard not to be heard. Before I even knew who he was talking to, I was already angry. I asked him who was on the phone. He did not even try to lie. He said it was Jay. I felt my heart drop and my blood boil at the same time. I asked how long they had been talking like that. He admitted that they had been talking for weeks, that they had gotten close and become really good friends. He said he did not tell me because he knew how I would react, and he did not want me to get the wrong idea. In his mind, he was protecting me from overreacting to something that was not a big deal. Hearing that was like someone pushing a knife in and twisting it. He was basically saying he knew this would hurt me, knew how it would look, and did it anyway. I did not have it in me to have a full argument right then. I walked back to the bedroom, shut the door, and cried quietly. My phone lit up over and over with texts from him and from Jay, trying to explain. I did not answer either of them. As soon as it was light outside, I packed as much of my stuff as I could and left. I called my mom on the way to tell her what happened. I needed someone to be outraged for me, someone to say, yeah, that is not okay. Instead, I got another punch in the gut. My mom told me that the night I had stayed at their house after the big fight, Jay had asked her for RS number. She said Jay wanted to get to know him better, to see if he was good enough for me. And my mom just gave it to her. She said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. I sat there on the phone, stunned. My mom tried to justify it by saying Jay was going through a rough time, that she needed a friend, that I was such a caring guy and could be there for her. She said Jay just wanted to look out for me, to make sure he was really a good person. The whole time, all I could think was if my sister wants to make sure my boyfriend is good for me, she can do that with me present. At dinner. At a family gathering. Not by secretly getting his number and having private late-night conversations while I am asleep in the next room. And the fact that my mom saw nothing wrong with it made everything feel even worse. To really understand how messed up this felt, you have to know a little about how things have always been in my family. Jay has always been the favorite, the golden child, the one who rarely hears no. When she does something wrong, it is she is stressed or she is sensitive. My mom especially treats her like she can do no wrong. Meanwhile, I learned to be the easy one. The one who does not make waves. The one who keeps the peace. So hearing my mom defend her again, even while I was telling her that Jay and R had gone behind my back, hurt in a way I cannot fully explain. A little while later, my brother stepped in as the only sane person in this whole situation. He called me one day, clearly uncomfortable, and told me something else that blew everything up even more. He said he had found out that R and Jay had been meeting up at bars regularly for weeks.
Just the two of them.
Jay called them friend dates. And she specifically told my brother not to tell me. He said he could not just keep that secret from me. So he told me the truth. When I hung up, I just sat there, shaking. It was like every doubt, every bad feeling, every paranoid thought I had had was suddenly confirmed. This was not innocent anymore, if it ever was. I decided I was done letting them make me feel crazy. I called both R and Jay separately and asked them to come over to my apartment. I did not tell either of them the other one would be there. I wanted to see their faces when they realized what was happening. They both showed up. The second they saw each other, the air in the room changed. They looked nervous, caught. We sat down, and I told them I wanted to talk about their friendship. I let them talk first. They both claimed that they barely interacted outside of the occasional phone call. They said any time they ended up in the same place, it was an accident, not something they planned. They insisted they were just friends, that I was reading too much into it. I sat and listened, saying nothing, until they were done. Then I asked, calmly, how exactly they kept accidentally ending up at the same bar, on multiple weekends in a row, on what Jay herself had called friend dates. The second I used J's own words, I saw it in her face. She knew I knew. They tried to pivot. They said yes, they had hung out a few times, but that it did not mean anything. That it was all innocent. That nothing physical had ever happened between them. They denied any cheating, over and over. I did not say much else. At that point, I knew they were willing to lie to my face, and I also knew I did not have hard proof of anything physical. But honestly, I did not need proof of that to feel completely betrayed. They had been hiding things, lying, sneaking around, and making me feel like some jealous, unstable child anytime I said something felt off. After they left, I sat with it all. Part of me almost broke up with R on the spot. Another part of me was just too exhausted and overwhelmed to do anything that permanent in the heat of the moment. So I stepped back.
R kept trying to reach out.
Calling, texting, saying we needed to talk. Jay was doing the same, sending long messages about how I was misunderstanding, how nothing was happening. My mom left me voice messages that I could not even bring myself to listen to at first. I felt trapped between wanting it all to be in my head and knowing, deep down, that it was not. That is when I decided to write everything down and post it online, asking strangers if I really was overreacting or if this actually sounded as bad as I thought it did. The responses all said the same thing, that I was not crazy, that my boyfriend and my sister were crossing serious lines, and that my family was gaslighting me. The next day, I finally made my decision. I opened my conversation with R and wrote out a long text. I told him that I did not believe nothing had happened between him and my sister, and even if I pretended to believe that, I still would not stay with someone who broke my trust the way he did. I told him that, at the very least, he had lied to me, gone behind my back to see her, and prioritized her over me. I said that I could not be with someone who made me feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of me. I told him I did not want him to call or text me anymore, and that my brother would come by to pick up anything of mine that was still at his place. Then I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. He responded with exactly what you would expect, that he only wanted to be with me, that he was sorry he hurt me, that he never meant to break my trust. It was the same script I had heard before. I muted the conversation and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I did not block him yet because several people had advised me to keep all the messages as proof in case he went too far, and I needed to involve the police. But I refused to keep reading his walls of text. Not long after that, Jay showed up at my apartment unannounced. I am almost sure I told her what I had texted him. I did not let her inside. We talked right outside my door. She was crying and begging me to forgive her, saying she loved me, that she did not want to lose me as a sister. I told her I would even consider forgiveness, only if she told me the full truth. No more half-truths, no more spin. That is when she finally admitted what I had already suspected. She told me that in their late-night phone calls, she and R had talked openly about being attracted to each other. They had talked about what they would do if I was not in the picture. She said the furthest it ever went was talking about getting a hotel room for a weekend so they could act on it. According to her, R shut that idea down, and they never followed through. She insisted nothing physical ever happened, that they were just talking. I honestly do not know if that part is true or not. But the thing is, at that point it did not really matter. For me, the line was already crossed. If you are having secret conversations with my boyfriend about how attracted you are to each other, fantasizing about a weekend at a hotel, and going on friend dates at bars behind my back, that is cheating. Maybe not physically yet, but emotionally? Absolutely. She tried to frame it like she was the one pushing and he held back, like that somehow made it better. It did not. I told her that in my eyes, they had already cheated. They had betrayed me. They had been having intimate, secret conversations and sneaking around while I slept down the hall. And the fact that she was trying to justify it made me feel even sicker. I told her that I was probably never going to talk to her again. That I could not just switch this off and pretend she had not tried to take my boyfriend for herself. Almost instantly, she flipped. She went from sobbing and begging to angry and defensive. She called me a liar, said I was overreacting, that I was throwing away my family over nothing. I could feel a whole new fight building, so I turned around and went back inside my apartment before I said something I could not take back. Later, I finally listened to my mom's voicemails. As expected, she defended Jay, saying she was just confused and going through a lot, that she did not know what she was doing. I called my mom and told her what Jay had admitted to. I asked her straight up if she knew any of it. She said she did not, that she really believed they were just friends. But even after hearing the truth, she still told me I was being too harsh. She said I should be more mad at R than at Jay, because R was the one who had made a commitment to me, and Jay would always be my sister. She kept repeating that family is forever, that you do not cut off your own blood. All I could think was, if you cannot trust your own family not to go after your boyfriend, who can you trust? On top of all that, parts of our extended family started reaching out. Clearly, Jay and my mom had told them their version of events because I got messages about how I should hear Jay out and not assume things. My brother and I ended up telling them the full story. We told them about the late-night calls, the hotel talk, the secret bar meetups, all of it. I do not know if anyone is firmly on my side, but at least they are not blindly repeating my mom and sister's narrative anymore. I also told everyone that if they tried to pressure me into talking to Jay or my mom before I was ready, I would go no contact with them too. My brother backed me up all the way. He also offered to go to RS place and pick up my stuff for me, since I still had a key to my apartment sitting over there, and honestly, I was scared to go alone. When he went, R tried to pull one last little move. He said he did not know where my key was, that he could not find it. The key had been in the same spot since I started staying over. My brother told him that if he did not hand it over, he would call the cops. Somehow, the key magically appeared after that. Hearing that confirmed for me that I had been right to be nervous. He absolutely would have used that key someday if I had not taken it back. After that, I blocked my mom and Jay from everything. R is still not fully blocked, just muted, because I want a record of everything in case I ever need to show a pattern of harassment. Jay later texted my brother saying she and R had not talked since, that she deleted his number, that she wanted me back in her life. Maybe that is true, maybe it is not. Honestly, I think if she cut him off, it is more because the rest of the family is finally seeing who she really is than because she suddenly grew a conscience. Right now, I am focusing on myself and leaning on my brother. He has been the one person in my family actually acting like family through all of this. He stayed at my place for a few days so I would not be alone, and we decided to take a big step back from all the drama, at least for a weekend. We watched movies, cooked, went out, tried to pretend the rest of it did not exist for a little while. I would love to say I do not miss her at all, but that would be a lie. I miss the version of him I thought I knew, the version who was loyal and safe and honest. I grieve that illusion more than I grieve the actual person he turned out to be. At the same time, I know I did the right thing. He was asking me to move in with him while he was having late-night conversations with my sister about getting a hotel together. I cannot even imagine how trapped I would feel now if I had signed a lease with him, or if there were kids or a house involved. What hurts the most is realizing that if A had never reached out to tell me about his cheating past, I probably would have thought he was just being a good boyfriend to my sister. I would have thought all of them cared about me. They would have let me stay in the dark while this whole thing played out behind my back. Now I know better. It hurts, but at least it is honest. If you made it all the way to the end of this story, thank you for listening. What would you do if your boyfriend was emotionally cheating with your own sister and your mom told you that you were the one overreacting? Would you ever forgive your sister? Would you try to fix things with your family or go no contact for good? Tell me in the comments. I really want to hear other perspectives. And if you want more first-person stories about cheating, family betrayal, and people finally trusting their gut, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this story with someone who might need to hear it.